Rachel Zegler is officially a disaster. Now, Rachel Zegler's career is basically a dumpster fire at this point, and it's only getting worse. From her disastrous performance in Snow White to her constant stirring of controversy, Rachel Zegler has managed to simply alienate everyone in her path. And now she's back at it using her relationship with the producer's family member, specifically son, to fuel even more drama. But here's the crazy part. She's doing it all in a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Now, if you thought her downfall was bad before, just wait until you hear how Rachel Zegler and her latest moves are about to make this train wreck even harder to watch. Now, as you all know, Rachel Zegler's current state of affairs has put Disney into complete panic mode. So not only did Snow White flop hard in theaters, but now it's being sold as a rental online. And you're looking at $25 for a digital rental. That's to stream something that most people wouldn't even pay to rent for $1 now in the bargain bin. Now, who in the right mind would spend that much just to have Rachel Zegler's version of Snow White in their house for 3 days? But Rachel Zegler is not stopping there. She's actually moving from the big screen to streaming, okay? And let's just say that it doesn't look like she's trying to save Disney's reputation anytime soon, okay? But Rachel Zegler has also taken, a disastrous impact to a new level, as if it wasn't enough that she's personally responsible for one of the biggest movie flops in Disney history. As you all know, I've covered it numerous times in the past and previous videos, but she's now influencing how Snow White will be remembered, and it's clear that she's only making it worse for the studio. Now, she's made headlines once again, and shocker, it's all for the wrong reason. Now, if Rachel Zegler is not criticizing her co-stars or making bold political statements that alienate half of the fan base, well, she's starting drama with the very people who actually helped get her the role in the first place. Now, it's one meltdown after another. It's like watching a car wreck, but you can't even look away. But honestly, Zegler's latest antics have truly hit a new low of absurdity. You see, she's stepping into personal drama of her producer's family, seemingly trying to go ahead and cause a rift that as it seems. But seriously, this is like watching a soap opera unfold in real time. And she's made it public that she is showing support for one family member of the family, despite the fact that the rest of them clearly want nothing to do with her. Now, her behavior is so transparent, it's actually painful to watch, and she's latched onto one family member who agrees with her stance, completely disregarding the fact that the rest of the family is at odds with her, specifically when it comes to religion. It's not a coincidence that she's now cozying up to the one person who seems willing to side with her. It's all about attention, and Zegler, as you all know, is hungry for it. And then there's also the fact that her relationship with the Platt family has completely soured. You see, Mark Platt, the producer, had to fly across the country, as I told you all before, to confront her over her outrageous behavior during the press tour of Snow White. And this was an emergency situation for Disney, and Zegler couldn't help but cause chaos. But instead of calming the waters, she simply keeps throwing gasoline on the fire. You see, she gets reprimanded by a producer, yet she doesn't stop there. She goes public with her actions, and it's clear that this isn't just about the movie anymore. It's about her. But right when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it actually does. Now, the tension within the Platt family has now boiled over onto social media. One of Mark Platt's sons has called Rachel Zegler a narcissist in a public rant. And what exactly does Rachel Zegler do? Well, she continues to go ahead and fuel the fire, not just by ignoring the family drama, but by publicly commenting on private family matters. You see, she's going from movie disaster to full-blown personal drama, and it's just another piece of the puzzle that proves how out of touch she really is. And at a time when she should be laying low and actually focusing on improving her career, Well, bad news. She's out here making everything about her once again. So, yeah, here we have Rachel Zegler attaching herself to the one person in the Platt family who might still tolerate her. And it's clear that she's strategically trying to align herself with someone who has a more sympathetic view toward her actions. But what's the end game here? You see, is she trying to manipulate public perceptions by simply showing how quote supportive she is, or if she just trying to make herself look good in the eyes of the public? Now at this time it's actually hard to say, but one thing is for sure: this isn't about a genuine connection. It's all about Rachel Zegler trying to stay relevant, okay? And that's no surprise right there because we expected this. But let's not forget the financial expert of this. You see, Disney's Snow White is already struggling to find its footing in the streaming world, and now Zegler's actions are only going to make things worse. You see, the movie itself was a disaster at the box office, and now it's up to streaming to salvage whatever reputation it has left. But with Zegler front and center, it's actually hard to see how this can actually turn around. You see, she's not exactly what you'd call a box office draw. You see, quite the opposite. In fact, she's one of the most polarizing figures in Hollywood right now. Now, the more she speaks out, the more she alienates the audience. And that's the last thing that Disney needs right now, even though that's not surprising at all. But there's no question that, Zegler's move from box office flop to streaming disaster is going to hurt her. Now, Disney can't seem to catch a break with her. And as for Zegler herself, I mean, it's clear she's running out of chances to redeem herself. Now, after the box office failure of Snow White, she's trying to stay in the spotlight with a streaming release, okay? But it's not going to work at all. You see, Disney can only hope that the public forgets her antics, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. You see, Rachel Zegler's constant controversies and blatant disregard for professionalism have caught up with her. And it's not just the family drama, it's the fact that she's alienated herself right from the very people who could have helped her salvage her career. Now, Mark Platt, her producer, had to intervene, but that didn't even stop Rachel Zegler from continuing her antics, as I reported before. Now she's hanging on to a family member who doesn't seem to care about the consequences. It's basically a toxic mix of entitlement, narcissism, and sheer disregard for others. And it's impossible to ignore it at this point. But it's not surprising because the sad part about all of this is that Zegler could have used this opportunity to quietly move past the Snow White disaster. But instead, I mean, she chose to fan the flames of controversy, and she's made it clear that she thrives on attention, even if it's negative. And as her public persona continues to implode, it's hard to imagine where her career goes from here. You see, she's alienated fans, as you all know, producers and fellow actors, and now she's driving Disney into a corner. But what's left? More drama, more controversy, and certainly more of the same issues. Now, honestly, Rachel Zegler's streaming release is set to launch at the worst possible time for her. Now, Disney has already been on damage control mode for months, and this is just another nail in the coffin. Now, as Rachel Zegler continues to stir the pot, she's only making things worse or harder for herself. And for Disney, the fact that Disney is still even considering pushing this movie to streaming is a testament to how much they're trying to go ahead and salvage whatever they can. But with Rachel Zegler at the center of all this controversy, I mean, it's clear the situation is actually beyond redemption, okay? But honestly, I mean, at this point, it's time for Disney to actually realize they're never going to get a break from Rachel Zegler. As long as she's involved with their projects, I mean, they'll be having to deal with drama after drama. But the streaming release of Snow White isn't going to change that. If anything, it's only going to make things worse. And Rachel Zegler herself has turned a once promising film into a disaster. And now she's ensuring that the streaming release becomes just as bad. But it's not just a nightmare for Disney, it's a nightmare for anyone who has to deal with her. So let me know your thoughts like this in the comments below. If you enjoyed what was shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button and share the video far wide across social media. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for future notifications, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.